Hello everyone, welcome to Explore. My name is Avik. So in today's session, I will talk about the CRISPDM methods and its importance to data science projects and how significant it could be. So before I start off, let me just open a small presentation for you so that will help you to understand how things works here. Just bear with me a moment. Okay, right. Okay, now, okay, there you go. Now, what exactly is CRISPDM method? So as you can see that CRISPDM stands for a cross-industry standard process for data mining, and it basically consists of 6 steps to conceive a data mining project. And the model does not require to capture all possible routes through the data mining process, and I can straight away jump into the stages of the process. So basically it has 6 stages as I've said to you. Right, so here are the CRISPDM phases. So first thing is business understanding. Second step is data understanding. Stage 3, data preparation. Stage 4, modeling. Stage 5, evaluation, and stage 6 is deployment. So this is the basic CRISPDM model. Now in today's session, I will only talk about the business understanding part. Now this is a quite lengthy process, so I won't be able to cover up all the 6 stages today. So in the next session, I will talk about data understanding and so on and so forth. So let's straight away jump into a stage 1, or the business understanding, how important it could be in terms of your business. So I'm just going to the next slide. Now here you can see I've just mentioned a small gist exactly what each step consists of. So business understanding means what does the business need. So you guys maybe belong to various of domains. Some of you are in textile, some of you are in automobile, some of you are in healthcare. So irrespective of whichever domain you work for, you first need to understand what the business expectation and what is their goal. Second step is understanding the data. So what data do we have, or what data do we need? Is it a clean data? Stage 3 would be preparing the data. So how do we organize the data for modeling? Stage 4, what are the modeling techniques should we apply to get the best out of it, to get the best possible outcome or the result? Stage 5, evaluating the data, wherein we will understand or we will determine which model is the best fit to get those outputs and which model is the best and that can meet the business objectives or expectation. And last but not the least would be deployment. So here we will talk about how do stakeholders access the result. Now we will straight away jump into the stage 1, which is today's agenda. Now stage 1 would be determine the business objectives and what are the desired outputs of the project. Now the first stage of the CRISPDM process is to understand what you want to accomplish from a business perspective. Your organization may have, competing objectives and constraints, but must be properly balanced. So the goal of this stage is the process to uncover the important factors that could influence the outcome of the project. Neglecting this step can mean that a great deal of effort is put into producing the right answers to the wrong questions. Now the first thing is you need to set an objective, and then you need to produce a project plan, And lastly, you need to set a business success criteria. Now, I will talk each and every step right now. So when you say setting up an objective, it means um, describing your primary objective from a business perspective. So there may be the other related questions that you would like to address. For example, your primary goal might be to keep current customers by predicting when they are prone to move to a competitor. Related business questions might be, does the channel used affect whether customers stay or go, or will a lower ADM fee significantly reduce the number of high value customers who leave? Something like that. Now, how would you produce a project plan? So here you will describe the plan for achieving the data mining and business goals. The plan should specify the steps to be performed during the rest of the project, including the initial selection of tools and techniques. And the third step would be the business success criteria. So here you will lay out the criteria that you're going to use to determine whether the project has been successful from the business point of view. This should be ideally be specific and measurable. For an example, reduction of customer churn to a certain level. However, sometimes it might be necessary to have more subjective criteria, such as give useful insights into relationship. If this is the case, then it needs to be very clear who it is that makes the subjective judgment. So moving on to the next stage, you need to access the current situation. So this involves more detailed fact-finding about all the resources, constraints, assumptions, and other factors that you will need to consider when determining your data analysis goal and a project plan. Now here also we have divided into 5 stages: inventory of resources, requirements, assumptions and constraints. Stage 3 is risk and contingencies. Stage 4, terminology, and stage 5 is cost and benefits. Now, come to the first step, which is inventory of resources. Here, first of all, we need to list down the resources available for the project, which includes few personal stuffs like business experts, data experts, technical support, data mining experts, etc. Data, which is it a fixed extracts, access to live data, or is it a warehouse data or operational data? We need to understand those stuffs. And we need to also understand what are the computing resources, like what are the hardware platforms, software, like what are the data mining tools we're going to use, or any other relevant software if it's necessary. Now, coming to the step 2, requirements, assumptions, and constraints. So we need to list down all the requirements of the project, including the schedule of completion, the required comprehensibility, and the quality of results, and any data security concerns, as well as any legal issues. We have got to make sure that we are all allowed to use the data. So list all the assumptions made by the project. So these may be assumptions about the data that can be verified during the data mining, and it may also include any non-verifiable assumptions about the business related to the project. It is particularly important to list the matter if they will affect the validity of the results. So list down all the constraints on the project. This may be constraints on the availability of resources, but it may also include any sort of technological constraints, such as the data size that is practical to use for modeling. Now, step 3 is risk and contingency. So again, we have to list the risk or events that might delay the project or cause to fail for the project. So we got to list down all the corresponding contingency plans, what action we have to take if in case there is some risk involved. Stage 4 is terminology, so nothing more to talk about it. Here you just it's just a to-do list. You can compile a glossary of terms relevant to the project. This will generally have two components, like a glossary of relevant business terms or a glossary of data mining terms. And the stage 5 is cost and benefits. It's very important. Um, so basically, we have to construct a cost-benefit analysis for the project, which compares the cost of the project with the potential benefits of the business and its success. So this comparison should be as specific as possible. For an example, you should be using the financial measures in a common situation. So I hope so far what I have spoken, it give you a glimpse of an idea how the process flow works. Now let's talk about determine data mining goals. So there are two specific goals we will talk about here. First is the business success criteria, and the second is the data mining success criteria. Now, a business goal states objectives in business terms. A data mining goal states project objectives in technical terms. Okay, so when you talk about the business success criteria, so it basically describes the intended outputs of the project that enable the achievement of the business objectives. And the data mining success criteria would be defining the criteria for a successful outcome to the project in a technical terms. For an example, let's think a certain level of predictive accuracy or a you know or a or a what I would say propensity to purchase a profile with a given degree of a lift. As with business success criteria, it may be necessary to describe these in subjective terms, in which case the person or persons making the subjective judgment should be identified. So moving on to the next and the last step of business understanding. So we need to understand and we need to evaluate a project plan, right? So here are two phases I will talk about. The first thing is a project plan and the initial assessment of the tools and techniques. So we have to describe the intended plan for achieving the data mining goals and thereby achieving the business goals. So our plan should be specifically the steps to be performed during the rest of the project, including the initial section of the tools and techniques. So in project plan, we have to list the stages to be executed in the project together with the duration, resources, required inputs, outputs, and any dependencies. Wherever possible, we have to try and make explicit the large-scale iterations in the data mining process. And at the end of each phase, we have to review the progress and achievements, and we have to update the project plan accordingly. So specific review points for this update should be a part of the project plan. And secondly, when we assess the tools and techniques, so at the end of the first phase, I think we all should undertake an initial assessment of tools and techniques. So for an example, if you select a data mining tool that supports various methods for different stages of the process, it is important to access the tools and techniques early in the process, since I know the selection of tools and techniques may influence the entire project. So that way I can conclude the first stage, which is the business understanding process. I hope you guys have understood the basic significance of it. Now, in the next session, I will talk about the stage 2, which is data understanding, and so on and so forth. So if you feel that this information is relevant to your business, if it is very informative to you, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button or spread across your friends and hit the bell icon. Thank you.